In this video, we'll learn how to create a multi-select dropdown column in Loocey and go over the settings and options of multi-select dropdown columns. There are two ways to create a column in Loocey. We can either open the context menu of an existing column and click on Add Column to Right, then choose Multi-Select Dropdown from the dropdown, or we can click on the plus sign at the end of the table, select More Options, and then choose Multi-Select Dropdown from the Column Type dropdown. We can enter the display name and click on Add to create our multi-select dropdown column using the default settings. By default, this allows us to select multiple values in each cell from a predefined list. Let's add a few example options like Feature, Bug, and Improvement. Now when we click on a cell, we can select more than one value. Each selection appears as a tag inside the cell, and we can easily remove or add more options. Let's also customize how the options look. We can edit the existing values and assign background and text colors to each one. For instance, maybe we want Bug to be red, Feature to be blue, and Improvement to be yellow. Once we save, the updated color styles will apply in the table, making it easier to visually scan and differentiate between selections. Drop-down options are also reorderable. We can drag and drop to change the order in which they appear in the options list. The updated order will be reflected in the drop-down options immediately. We can also add tooltips for individual options. This is useful when you want to provide extra context or guidance for a specific selection. Only options with a defined tooltip will display the tooltip on hover. Now let's explore another important drop-down configuration: value type. This controls how the data behind each option is stored. You'll find this setting when you create a multi-select drop-down column. Let's go through each one quickly. First, there's integer array. If we create a column called labels and add options like feature, urgent, and blocked, we can assign them values 1, 2, and 3. This is perfect when we want to sort or filter by logic. For example, show rows with the highest priority tags. Next is string array. This stores the exact labels as text. For instance, if we create a tags column with review, feedback, and ready to ship, what we see is exactly what gets saved. It's ideal when we want human-readable values or need to sync with another system that expects specific strings. Now let's try GUID array, which is the default. Each option here is stored with a unique internal ID, so even if we rename ready to ship to finalized, the backend value stays consistent. This is great when stability matters, but we still want to freely change labels later. That's how multi-select dropdowns work in Loocey. Let's look at some of the other options while adding columns. The following examples will be for string column, but the options work the same way for other types as well. You can set a default value for a string column so that it's used for all new rows created in this list. For example, if you want every new row to start with a specific label like new entry, you can enter that here. This way, each time you create a new row, the string column will automatically be filled with that unless you change it manually. Next, the required option, just like the name implies, makes a column a required field when creating or updating records. By default, the name column is required. If we want to mark the string column as required, we'll also need to set a default value. This ensures the column always has a valid entry when new records are created. If we mark another column, in this case, string, as required, the Add Item input box will change into a button link. Then, when we click on either the Add Item link or the new button at the top, the system will open a dialog showing all required column inputs. Let's add another record and enter the values for the required columns in the dialog, then click on Create. The record will be added along with the values for all the required columns. This design of keeping track of required columns helps keep our table consistent and prevents invalid data entries. The isNull flag is a somewhat technical term, which simply means that if no default value is entered, this column will allow nulls instead of a value. Again, this is a database term, and it's okay if you leave it the default. Note that when we switch off the isNull option, the default value field will become required, as now the column requires a default value. This is because if you already have data in your list and if you turn off the null option, this column will need to be populated with another value, otherwise, we would get an error in the database. That's it for today. Be sure to subscribe to our channel to be notified when we release new tutorials. Thanks for watching and see you next time.